Hope is here. The way to break free with your host, Angela Pedigo, will light a flame within you. Host Angela Pedigo is an author, speaker, and certified life recovery, grief, and joy restoration coach. Angela uses her own life experiences to help you navigate and guide you to success. She also has developed tools that incorporate her faith and her drive to overcome any obstacle in life. So please welcome the host of The Way to Break Free, Angela Pedigo.
Welcome, everybody, to The Way to Break Free. I am your host, Angie Pedigo. I am super excited today about my special guest, Miss Ashlyn Martin. Ashlyn is actually celebrating 3 years of sobriety this month, right? And so we're just going to celebrate with her today, guys. I'm telling you, if you've ever battled addiction, the people who overcome it are some of the toughest people you'll ever meet. It's just so difficult. So yes, we are going to always celebrate those victories. Ashlyn, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I am really excited to dive into her testimony. I met Ashlyn a few years ago right before when she was embracing recovery, like deciding to make, to try to go chase that. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing the whole thing. She's got a lot of different avenues today that can be beneficial to a lot of people. So tune in, share, and we'll see where this goes. Ashlyn, tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Ashlyn. I'm 23. I work at a nursing home. I'm a CNA. I'm enrolled at Vol State
Nice.
to become an RN.
Nice.
Yeah. I live with my mother.
Yes. We have had her mom on the show a few weeks ago, actually, telling what it was like from the parents' side. So we get to hear the other side of the story today. That is going to be another one to go back and watch for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. Nursing, has it always been something you wanted to do?
Yeah, it has. But when I was in addiction, I kind of let the dream go. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's go back. Take us to the early days. Addiction finds people in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's you're born into it. Sometimes it's around you your whole life. Maybe your parents were in it, or sometimes people find them through just friend groups, and then sometimes it's from a surgery. They never had any kind of issues before, and then come out of a surgery or medical situation, and then just can't seem to get off of those things. So tell us about yours. How did addiction find you?
My friends at school.
Mm.
Yeah. And I was raised in a wonderful home.
Yeah.
Like, wonderful, structured. My mom had done her absolute best.
Addiction is no respecter of persons, is it? Doesn't matter the background.
The devil don't discriminate.
Mm-mm. No.
So I started hanging out with people, and they were like, hey, try this. Or, and they were just broken. Like, they would come to school late, and they just didn't look well put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I need to be their friend. Yeah.
The rescuer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Tell us a little bit about this. So how old were you then?
I was about 16.
About 16.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, what is that what drew you to them? Like,
Yeah. Until I got high for the first time.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going in to think you can pull them out and then get caught in the web too.
Yeah.
I think that happens more than people really talk about or acknowledge.
Yeah.
You go in with best intentions, but sometimes it can get you. So tell us, what was that like? What was school like, or childhood like?
I had a good childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I had everything that I wanted, but inside I still felt like something wasn't right. Like, not really something was wrong, but something just wasn't there. There was just void.
Yeah. Is that what kind of drew you to trying to feel that, maybe, with like helping other people?
Just something. Like,
yeah,
there just needed to be something.
Yeah. So you're 16, you're in high school.
I got my license.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mobile. Every parent's nightmare when their kid starts driving. Now we get control where they're at, or no, always.
And I was the type, like, if mom told me no, I wanted to do it even more. So, yeah.
I get that.
Very rebellious.
I get that. So take us back. When so you used for the first time. What did that do for you?
I used, and then I didn't use again until like 3 or 4 months after I used the first time, because I was like, ooh.
Was it scary at
first? Yeah, a little bit. And I kind of realized like how much power it could have over me.
Oh.
Yeah. And there was this guy, and he was using something stronger than what I had used the first time. And it spiraled from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you find yourself caught up quickly after that second time, or did it take a while? Or
yeah.
Because some people,
it happened pretty quick. Yeah. Because not only was I addicted to substance, I was also addicted to him.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Those relationships, especially for like teenage girls.
Yeah.
And there's a void. And we're wanting to fill the void with something. And there's a guy. And yeah, you were addicted to him.
Yeah.
Powerful words.
I made him my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was that like?
At the time, I thought it was great. And looking back, there were lessons learned that I don't think I could have learned any other way. But it was rough. It was traumatizing.
How did it start out?
How did it start out? Well, we had known each other since kindergarten, so there was already a trust there. Like that trust didn't have to be formed. So, and then we were friends. I mean, all through school. So it kind of just, he called me and he had told me that he told me everything. He was honest with me. And I just accepted it for what it was. Yeah.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think you accepted it so easily?
Probably because I wanted to be a part of it. Yeah.
A part of it, like the a part of him, or part of the, like, that world?
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the draw? Like, was it excitement at first, or?
It was, yeah. Life was like a movie. Yeah. Like I wasn't even in reality,
Was that the drugs talking, or was that just being in that kind of toxic relationship for you?
It was probably a mixture.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us what that was like. How long did it go? Did the relationship last?
We were together off and on for like 3.5, 4 years. Yeah. It was physically and mentally abusive on both parts. Yeah.
What do you think keeps people going back into those kind of situations?
Maybe hope that it'll get better.
Always telling ourselves, yes, this could get better, but it never really does.
Or fear of something else being worse. Because at that time there wasn't much positive in my life. So
did you ever think, if I step away from this situation, what next?
Yeah.
I think part of it, was it a fear of being alone for you?
Not really, because even when I was with him, I felt alone.
Oh, yeah.
So
we had to rescue someone one time from a situation that was abusive. And she made a profound comment to me, because I'd asked her, are you done? Are you finally done with this? And her answer was, bad love is better than no love at all.
Yeah.
And that hit so hard as to just how crippling loneliness can be, or like that missing piece that someone has, trying to fill it with anything. Even if it's bad, at least it wasn't void.
Right.
And
I feel like I had broken and burnt down every other bridge. Like, that bridge was barely standing, but it was like the only one that was still standing.
So you clung onto it for dear life.
Yeah.
So, in feeling like that you'd burn every bridge, what was that like with your family? Because I know your mom, it was like, she was.
Yeah. So, had I not checked in, like, every couple months, they probably would have put a Amber Alert out. Because I was in the same town, but I did not go around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think, in looking back on it, was it that you burnt bridges or just that you stayed away?
Yeah, I just avoided to drive over those bridges.
Yeah. They were still there.
They were still there, yeah. I just didn't. I avoided everyone at all costs.
Why do you think that was?
Embarrassment. Yeah.
I think there's a misconception sometimes, especially for family members, that sometimes that in addiction, like, we have no shame, or like it's easy to look at, and be that judgmental part of it and be like, they have no shame, they don't care, whatever. But inside, it's like somebody who's struggling in addiction is dying inside.
Yeah.
Emotionally dying inside. The addiction is the way to cope.
And I didn't want to hear the, interventions. I just didn't. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was a turning point for you?
So the same man that I was talking about, I was in a relationship with, he brought me almost to death one night. He put his arms around my neck and he said, "I'm going to kill you." He looked me straight in my eyes, cold. He was so cold. And at this point, he was at his rock bottom as well. So 2 people at their rock bottom, it's not pretty. Has a beautiful outcome, but he put his arms around my neck and he said, "I'm going to kill you." And he drugged me across the basement that we lived in. And I don't remember anything after that. My mom, I called her and I said, "Mom, I got to go. I got to get out of here." And she was at work, I think. And it wasn't that she didn't have time, but I was like crying wolf. I had been crying wolf for like 3 years, So his grandmother took me to my grandma's, and Mama made it happen. She took me to her house and I detoxed for a week. And I called Romans 828 Ministry on a Sunday night. And I said, "Hey, I need help." And even I believed at that time, like I knew this was it. So I called Romans 828 and they were like, "Well, we can get you in tomorrow." And I was like, "No, no, I got to go right now. Like, I'm not going to go if I don't go right now." And they got me in that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great self-awareness.
It was.
To know that.
It was all God.
Yeah.
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 And mustering up that willpower to know you well enough to know, if I don't go right now, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was already planning in my head.
Yes. You had to make a choice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So they got you in quickly. What'd you think when you got there?
I saw a few familiar faces and they were hope for me. So I kind of, I stayed with them and I was like, "Listen, I'm proud of you and I'm going to need some help."
Yeah. Was it easy?
No.
And how long were you in the program?
A year.
A year.
Yeah.
What about that year? Take us through what it was like.
I kind of stayed low. I didn't really talk to many people because I felt like words have meaning. And at that point I didn't know really what I was feeling. Memories were coming back and emotions I was feeling them. And I clung to something that one of the girls had told me. She said, "Yeah, the emotions hurt, but at least you can feel them." So I was just trying to work through all that. And I got saved while I was in the program.
Oh, tell us about that.
So I thought I had been saved when I was 9.
Yeah.
I hadn't. I went through addiction thinking like if I overdosed, I was going to heaven. And thank God that I didn't. And he pulled me through. But 4 months into Romans, I was knelt down in the altar at a church praying with one of the ladies. And I got up and I was like, I don't know why I'm praying for her, because I need to be praying for myself. So I went to the altar and I was like, God, I'm not getting up until I know that I'm going to heaven one day. Aww. And he saved me that night.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Felt totally different.
It was amazing. Yes,
that is awesome. That's awesome. So now you had this relationship with Jesus.
Yes.
What that change for you?
Everything. Everybody was beautiful.
Oh,
I mean, I loved everyone, which was, and like genuine love.
Yeah.
Not the artificial stuff.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of love, let's go back to that relationship for a minute.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, before we do that, because we could go down a good little rabbit hole here, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back in just a moment.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
We're back from the break. Ashlyn, I want to go back to this early relationship. A lot of times we, guys do it as much as girls do, I think. But when we are trying to fill a void with another person, we find that person and we hold on to them and we think that that's love. Right. Do you feel like that relationship that you had, because you just mentioned about being saved and like you loved everybody, you know, so I saw this glow come over you in that moment, like now she's got love. Do you think that was love that you felt back then?
No, I don't. I think maybe like the devil's, I don't know the word for it, but I feel like it was maybe his way of prolonging me to actually feel Jesus's love. You know?
Distraction.
Like, yeah, definitely.
Blocking you from actually meeting Jesus.
No, that was 100% a trauma bond back then.
Trauma bond. Explain that, please. There's a lot of people probably need to hear that.
Every time that he would hurt me or I would hurt him in any form or fashion, we would apologize and our love would be stronger, you know? And it's like, I didn't think that I could count on anybody in the world but him. And that's not love. When you're both tearing each other down, And that's just not, you should never have to, pay a price for.
Yeah. It's kind of like in a trauma bond, it's almost like the one who's hurting you the most, you think is your ride or die.
Right.
And they're actually the one driving, or you may be driving each other to your own grave kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. Like
and everything about him like invited me into. Like there was nothing anybody could tell me. Like people would tell me like straight up, just he doesn't love you. And I'm like, well, you must not love me because
you would see it my way.
Yeah. I would get really mad. And that's how a lot of bridges were burnt. It wasn't the drugs. It was because of my relationship.
Wow. So when you get saved and you said, I knew what love was, what was different for you in that moment? Like what was opened in your eyes about love?
It was just peace. There was a lot of peace. And the chaotic mess that I thought was love wasn't anymore. But God's love got rid of all that. He removed that. Yeah.
Did that void, that space that you were talking about that you knew was missing those years, got filled in that moment? See, that's the thing. I wish people could see that. Like they will search the world over. You'll get addicted to people, food, drugs, everything else. But what's lacking is Jesus. Like if they ever just try him, just try him and let him fill that space in their heart. If you are listening today and that is you, if you are searching for something because there is a void, let Jesus Christ fill that spot. Like that's exactly what she's describing here. So you're full of love at this point. You've met Jesus. He's moved in. And you said it changed everything. What did it do for your relationships and those bridges?
Oh, God rebuilt them and gave me way much more than I deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mother's relationship.
Yes.
Ours was, she is my best friend now.
Oh.
I went 6 months, not talking to her, and then I talked to her like when I needed something, and now it's everything. I go to her for everything.
Yeah. So what was your relationship with her like in the midst of all your addiction?
It wasn't good. She showed me tough love the whole time. She never gave me anything, and I knew not to ask because I knew what the answer would be. I was very angry. I was a very angry person. And I would go over there just to like detox, and then I'd go back, and it was just kind of like a back and forth type deal. Her door was always open, but I wasn't going to get anything.
Are you grateful for that at this point? Were you combative to it in the moment? Like, I mean, you didn't ask, but
yes, I was. It did irritate me at the moment. Looking back now, I'm grateful that she did not enable me.
Yeah. What would you say to parents who have a child in addiction they don't know what to do? What did you need in that moment?
Just prayer. There's nothing else. Like there's really nothing that you need to do. And I because I didn't have much of anything. Like I came into Romans with the clothes that were on my back. And I know it's hard for a parent not to like want to buy their kids clothes and this and that. But no, let them lose everything.
Yeah.
Because sometimes rock bottom needs to hit and hit hard, Only
then sometimes people will look up.
Yeah.
At that point. And it is super hard for parents to not enable.
Right.
But if we constantly have a soft place to land,
we're going to keep falling.
You're going to keep falling. Yeah. It's a hard pill to swallow. What did tough love look like?
I thought she was just bitter and mad at me. And I didn't think it had anything to do with love. But I'm very grateful for it. Very grateful because when I did call her, she was there. she never missed a visit at Romans, and she's my biggest supporter now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say she always wanted the best for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She spoke of a night when you called and when she picked you up and this hug that you guys had. What was that moment like for you? Describe that moment.
It was a breath of fresh air. Yeah, it was good. I was never really present, even if I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I was always just not, I just wasn't present. But she knew I meant it that time, and I knew I meant it. And even though deep down I was probably still planning things, you literally just have to keep going. You have to fight your own plans.
Well, let's go back to, or fast forward, I guess, to rehab. How long were you in rehab before you found Jesus?
4 months.
4 months.
Yes.
Was there days you just wanted to quit?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to quit even after I found Jesus, because the devil doesn't stop. So, speaking of the devil, he will always place devices in your way. There was a girl that came to Romans, and the first thing she told me was the guy that I was with had got out of jail. So my mind starts, and I'm like, okay, I need to go. I was like, I gotta go. So I called Mom crying. I was bawling. I was like, Mama, I gotta go. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, Mama, because I wasn't going to leave unless I was with Mom. I was like, Mom, I need you to come get me. And I was just coming up with all these excuses. And she was like, I ain't coming to get you. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, I'm not. She said, what kind of mama would I be if I came and got you? Yeah.
Did you ever tell her the real reason why you wanted to leave?
I don't think so. Maybe. I probably did. She probably knew.
Yeah.
She probably knew. But yeah, and there was a couple times after that when I just wanted to give up. But I just went to bed instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had went to an NA meeting one day, and not much stuck with me because sometimes it's just hard for me to listen. But you pick up on the things that God wants you to hear. So she said, some days are going to be hard, but even if it's 2 p.m, just go to bed and try again tomorrow. And I would do that a lot. Yeah.
The tools that you get.
Yes, I still do that.
Jesus fills the void and the hole, and then you have the tools that help you along the way. What were some of the things that you got from being in rehab and recovery to help you along that journey?
Well, I have a hunger for God's word. I stay in the Bible.
It's our weapon.
I love to study. Yeah, I love to study the Bible. And fasting is a good tool that I picked up because I had no idea what that even was.
What's that do for you? Explain that. What's your draw to fasting? I think it's a misunderstood.
It is. It gives me clarity.
Yeah.
In a lot of things, and it helps my prayer life. Because in addictive behavior, you always want more. Well, now I just want more Jesus. I just want as much as I can get.
He's your new drug.
Yes.
One you don't have to quit.
Definitely.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. So you stay in the Word, stay in the Bible. You're living your life out. Is it hard? Do you find it hard to resist the addiction or resist the addiction to Him as well? Even today, or I say Him, or to any kind of relationship. Yeah.
I've been delivered.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I have been set free.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Some people struggle with it. They get clean and they stay sober, but they they still battle with it because they haven't experienced that deliverance part of it yet.
Yes.
And then, but when you do, those shackles.
But it wasn't like a I had to really like pray about it to be set free. Like you really have to put, God just wants your time, you know? He just wants your time. And I'd say probably like until last year, I wasn't fully delivered and set free. But I was like, you know what? That's enough. This is enough. Those urges and those temptations, like the temptations are always going to be there, but
yeah,
my God's stronger than any temptation the devil can set before me.
Yes, yes. It's so good to stay in the Word because what we look at is where we're going, right?
Yes.
And yeah, it's easy to get sidetracked, but that'll keep you. What do you do to keep yourself going today?
As in
like staying the course and keeping your eyes on God. You stay in the Word. What else do you do that helps keep you focused?
I help other people. Helping other people really helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're CNA.
I am.
Do you love caring for those people?
I do.
What's your favorite part about it?
I love them so much. In the most humble way, when I go in and they're like, I'm so glad you're the one here today. And I'm like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my coworkers, because people struggle with addiction everywhere. And God's going to put you, he's going to put you on a mission everywhere you go if he's gave you the tools, you know? So I pray with them and just try to create a positive environment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You don't have to wait for the environment to be set right for you. You're just going to create it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. Yeah, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
We're back from the break. Ashlyn, so you love helping people. It's part of that love, I guess, you got filled up with when you were saved. So loving these people. Now, you said you work in the nursing home, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure you probably get pretty attached to some of those people in there, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about other volunteer work that you do.
I wouldn't necessarily call it volunteer work, but like Romans is like another family.
Yeah.
So anything that I can do to help there, I do.
Yeah. So tell us about Romans. Tell us about the program.
Okay. What about it?
So there's ladies there.
Yes.
The housing for men and women.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a year-long program.
Yep.
You were there for a year. And so it's a faith-based program too as well.
It is.
Yes, which makes it easy to find Jesus in that environment. So they're like family to you.
They are. I love just going over there to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I don't realize like how I am helping,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also helping me in return
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I was there, and I get it. So we can sympathize with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Peer support.
Yeah. And just listening to their stories
Mm-hmm.
because they're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And just praying with them, and just knowing that like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna make it through it.
Have you always been a natural motivator?
Yeah. I try to be. Yeah.
I'm seeing that's a recurring theme. It seems like, yeah. So what do you like? What are some things that you'll do? You just go over there and hang out, listen to
Yeah, and I
them?
try not to miss a graduation
Yes,
because that's important.
Yes.
Like I know a lot of people are kind of like just addiction in general, the subject addiction in general. They're kind of like, on the fence about it. Like I don't know, but they need as much support as they can get because that's a big thing.
Huge. And some
Yes.
of them, like you were talking about bridges being burnt, haven't been able to rebuild those bridges
Right.
yet.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I'm very grateful that, my mom could come visit.
Yes.
And my dad was there as well. He never missed a visit.
That's awesome.
So just having that support was vital, I feel like, for my recovery.
What do you think that did for you? Like, I mean, it was vital for your recovery, obviously, but in what ways?
I felt like I wasn't really growing up. I didn't really care to make my parents proud, but in that moment, it was like I need to make them proud, So I cling to God because that was the only way I was going to make them proud.
Yeah.
Like He was the only one that could pull me through.
So you've seen other residents who haven't had that kind of support from family, or maybe they don't get visits at all,
or they lived far off. Yeah.
What do you think that does for them? Like, would you encourage I guess where I'm going with that is, would you encourage families to go visit? Like if they're holding back and they're on the fence, just go and see.
Definitely, because me and my mom, my first visit, we were strangers. I mean, we didn't even know each other's favorite color.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know how old my sister was. I had to keep asking. I didn't know what grade she was in. I mean, I literally had to learn everything about my own family all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah. And if you can get through that uncomfortability,
yes,
you'll have growth.
That is very encouraging for families. Families, I hope that you're hearing that. That's part of healing. That's part of that joyful restoration healing, like being able to heal the whole family unit. And I know families can sometimes be skeptical. Do you think your mom was ever skeptical of you during that time?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And that's okay.
I do.
Yeah.
But I'm glad she was, because, I mean, even I was, like, I mean, it's God. It wasn't me. Because what I wanted at the time was not what God wanted.
She didn't make you prove yourself, though, until before she had a connection with you, right?
No.
Like you just kind of had to grow into that together. Yeah. I know in people that are in addiction a lot of times, or in their recovery, let me say, and have been in recovery for years, are just longing for their families to recognize where they've been, where they're at, and where their life is headed now.
Right.
And they just cannot seem to get that from their families. And like, that's next level healing, and families need to heal too. This is why it's so important for family members to get help as well. Because there's a lot of water under the bridge. There's hurt. There's things that need to be dealt with, and addressed, but you'll never build the bridge back if you don't do that. Right. I mean, you've lived it, so you can tell us better than anybody, Is that kind of the way it was for you and your mom?
Yeah. We just kind of had to power through those first couple months because it was a learning process for both of us, And like, I talked to my dad, so like me and Dad were fine. That bridge was really still kind of there. Like he knew something was up, but yeah, definitely with Mom. it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard to like, because I didn't even know where to go with conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to conversate with sober people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's been living her life normally and functioning, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
So,
I get that. But you both chose to push through.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it takes, both sides pushing through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk for a minute to those young adults, those teenagers, young adults, trying to fit in or trying to rescue people or
Mm-hmm.
trying to fill a void with other people. Going back to when that was you, what kind of advice would you give to somebody right now that's kind of chasing those same situations you were?
I would say don't try to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, Jesus set us apart for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So you're all unique in your own way for your own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like trying to help people, just grow up first, you know, just because there's a certain maturity level. You know, you've got to help yourself before you can help anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very good advice. What about to somebody who's trapped in that trauma bond relationship? Looking back, what would you be able to say to somebody now in that kind of situation?
There's a better love out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How did you, when you got out from a traumatic moment, a traumatic situation, that rock bottom moment,
right.
Some may be wanting out and it not have to take that moment. Do you think you could ever, going back, do you think there was ever a time where you were at the brink of mustering up the strength to walk away before it took that violent moment?
I walked away a handful of times and went back. Yeah.
Yeah. What kept you going back?
Well, I would either leave out of anger or he would kick me out of anger because we were in his house. So therefore there's another, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he would call and he'd apologize and he'd cry, or I would call and I would apologize and I would cry and I went back.
So moral of the story, don't answer the phone.
Yeah, no, don't answer the phone. No.
Don't answer the phone. Don't respond to the text messages.
Just get rid of your phone.
Block, block, block.
Yes.
Yes. Not to be mean, but like it's just not healthy.
Right.
Right?
No.
It's just not healthy.
No, it's not good for anybody.
What made you choose you finally? Like, when did you decide I am worth more than this?
So my sister wrote me a note. No, it was a whole composition book. And she had wrote me letters over the years that I was in addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't give them to me because I didn't come around. And I definitely didn't go around her.
Yeah.
She was a child, you know?
Yeah.
And no child should have to see the way that I was living. And the day I came back for good, she had give them to me. And I had got high prior to, I think. And then she gave them to me, and then I got high again. I didn't read them. And I had come in the house, and I read them. And that was probably the first time I had ever been able to feel anything being under the influence. Yeah. I bawled like a baby. And I was like, I've got to do something.
Well, what were they about? Like, I mean, can you share?
Oh, they were raw truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was, she put me in my place, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the motivation that you needed. Say something's got to change.
It set a fire under me. And I was done.
Little sis.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to be the one to reach you, right?
I think she was 9 at the time when she wrote them.
Wow.
Yeah. In the span of, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's your relationship like with her today?
Amazing. Amazing. We argue, but that's what sisters do.
Right.
I'm so grateful for her. She's an amazing woman.
Oh.
Little woman.
Little woman.
I'll go in her room sometimes and it's like I'm so grateful for who she is, because when I go in there, she's studying the Bible, or she's listening to, or she's coming to me with a new worship music, you know?
Oh,
I'm just like, man.
she's somebody you can walk with through this.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that you would be able to follow Jesus and have the kind of support, or like, I mean, you're young, you know, so
Yeah.
like a lot of times people feel like if I put my light on this candlestick, you know, and I'm walking for Jesus, like nobody's going to walk with me, which I think that's totally changing now, you know, more than in times past. But
Right.
did you ever feel like I can't walk this out completely, or I'll be walking it out by myself?
I feel like prior to
Mm-hmm.
Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
no, yeah, I did feel like that, but after I had Jesus, I didn't care. You know, I was like, I know I'm not alone. Like, I'm not alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, we are going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Okay, Ashlyn. So you are in school. You're a CNA, but you are going back to nursing school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us, what are your plans for the future? You're young. You've got your whole future ahead of you. So you were able to pull out of this, you know, at a good time,
Yeah.
you know, good age. But nobody ever has to have time wasted. I've watched people who are 40 and like God just, that verse, I will restore to you the years the locusts have
Yes.
eaten. He'll do it, but he will do it expedited, you know,
Yes, he will.
if you keep following him. So what are your plans? Like,
I want to become an RN,
mhm.
and I want to work in an ER.
Nice.
Yeah. I want to be a trauma nurse. So
Wow.
yeah.
You have got it figured out. Do you ever think you would say that?
No.
Did you ever have these dreams of what you want to be when you grow up? And
Yeah, I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse, like
Mhm.
prior to addiction, but it just kind of faded, you know,
yeah,
when I was in addiction.
yeah.
Didn't have much hope for anything. So
And here you are doing it
Here I
after
am.
all.
yeah,
No time wasted.
no.
That's awesome. Like, what keeps you going toward those dreams?
Working in healthcare has a big part to play in
Yeah.
that, because it's like, you know, you see the dirty, ugly of it,
Mhm.
and I'm like, man, I want to get in there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it helps people too, especially people who are in recovery, to find what they're passionate about and then work in that field. Like, even if it's not exactly the end game,
Right.
you want to be an RN, but to do it as a CNA at this point,
Mm-hmm.
you just verified that. I mean, it's motivation. It's motivation to keep going that path. Do you feel like when you get up and go to work today, every day it's a job, or is it more like a career?
I love my job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It's like, I get to go to work today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's very important. One of the things that maybe people who are in recovery, they maybe write off a lot of the possibilities, thinking, oh, I can't ever do that. Or, I've been down these roads, and, they doubt themselves, or they doubt the doors God will open for them, and they doubt the ability to be able to seek after those dreams. What would you say to them?
I would say that my God is bigger than any doubt that you could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go for it anyway.
All he needs is a willing vessel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it all figured out.
He'll
you don't
handle
have to
the rest. Yeah.
Yes.
Everything will fall into place. And sometimes I'm guilty of kind of like, freaking out first, but he'll handle it.
Yeah.
It'll all fall in place just the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. That's hard to walk on blind faith,
Yeah, definitely.
But well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
All he's looking for is willingness. We don't have to have it all figured out,
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can find a career that matches what you're passionate about, and let that be a building ground, keeps your eyes focused.
Yeah.
To want more,
Definitely.
Is it hard to go to school and working and all that at the same time?
It's challenging at times. Yeah. I had to do a little moving around with my schedule because I'm like a routine type of gal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like everything has to be on this day, this day, this day.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of like the switch up of it was a little painful, but
yeah.
but I'm getting there. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you ever what do you do when you feel those discouraging times?
I just kind of breathe and I'm like, okay, God. And I think of the outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, God never said it would be easy, but he said he would get you there,
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He will not put on us any more than we can handle.
No.
But as long as we lean into him. Sometimes it feels that way, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels that way. Well, what kind of encouragement would you give somebody today who's in addiction?
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there's people praying for you that you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got to take that first step, though, right? The willingness plays into everything.
Absolutely.
Whether it's coming out of the relationship, whether it's embracing recovery, whether it's moving forward with your future, everything starts with willingness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to step out of denial, but we got to be willing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. So do you have, how often would you say you go over to like the Roman's house? And
I'm there often. I see them often. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, so in the midst of all of this, you're pouring into other people and giving back to that. Do you have to do a lot of work towards your recovery, like to stay in a good space?
I do maintenance. Like I have a journal that I keep, and I stay in the Bible, and I talk to Mom and my close friends about things that are going on in my life. I don't keep them bottled up.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very wise. So those things don't turn into triggers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Being open.
Suppression is not good.
Yes. Yes.
So
is that ever uncomfortable?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But it's more comfortable than pushing it all down.
Yeah. The effects of
right.
It makes it not so bad. Plus you have an amazing support system.
Yes,
I
very
do. Open.
I'm very grateful for all of them.
Not judgmental.
Yeah.
Willing to hear, I'm sure, where you are at.
Right.
Yeah. To hear both sides of the story between you and your mom is super encouraging, especially for people who are struggling with that, within their families today, feeling like, is my son or daughter ever going to come out of this? And are we ever going to be able to have a relationship? And so I hope that you guys have heard Ashlyn's story today. I hope you will go back and listen to her mom, Christy Carter's story in this as well. and putting the two together, it's just been a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey today. Thank you guys for listening. You've been watching The Way to Break Free on Bold Brave TV. Like and subscribe from wherever you're watching today, and you'll be notified each week when we go live. We'll see you next time.
This has been The Way to Break Free with your host, Angela Pedigo. The one thing Angela attributes her personal victories to is her relationship with God and her deep faith. Tune in each week and hear stories and testimonies of people in personal and professional trenches and how they overcome them with their own faith in God. The Way to Break Free has something for everyone, everywhere. Right here, Wednesdays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV.